Hi there, folks. Um, we're going to talk about a wicked smart movie called Black Mass. Lee and me are part of Geeks Assembled, and we uh we gather together to do these geeky videos. And today we're talking about one that's near and dear to my heart, and that's Black Mass about Whitey Bulger. Basically, it's Jim Bulger's like nickname and his story of how he ended up in prison at the end, how they caught him at the very end of the movie, after his 16 years of living in the West Coast in Santa Barbara, um, nearby nearby some famous folks, but living fairly simple life actually. Very, very humble life. Um with Catherine Greig, who we don't actually meet her in this, but uh for all of those little stories, I think I've gotta wait until we get to that part of this podcast. But just like Lee to give me his opening thoughts on Black Mass.
Well, right, thanks, Susan. Interesting movie. I didn't realise when I started watching it that it was based on true events and real people.
Yeah. Oh
That
yeah.
I know nothing about these people. Of
Mhm.
course, being over here and you over there, um, I've
I
never
didn't
heard
know
of them.
about him until I moved here.
Yeah, it was an interesting story. On the lines of say like Goodfellas, isn't it? And the mob and the gangster stuff. Interesting casting with Johnny Depp as the main antagonist. Um, Unrecognizable, really.
True.
He, I don't know if I don't know whether he shaved his head or he was wearing a bald cap. I don't know. His eye colours were totally different to what we're used to with Johnny Depp, which was a bit off-putting for me because I kept staring at them. And a good cast. I mean, you got was it Benedict Cumberbatch playing his brother? Was he a senator, wasn't he, or something like
Yeah.
that? Um, Kevin Bacon. Who else have we got in here?
Joel
Dakota John,
Edgerton.
David Harbour, Corey Stoll, you name it. Peter Sarsgaard.
Huh.
Um, Good cast, good ensemble cast.
Oh,
Um, I mean, when I sat down and first watching it, I was thinking, "Am I going to enjoy this?" But then the story sort of drags you in. You think, this is the sort of story. It's an FBI informant story, um, which apparently it's most of this what happened in the movie is true.
it
I don't know if
it all
I don't
is. Almost everything is.
I don't know if Hollywood took liberties here and there, but
Not too much. I mean,
uh,
I've been reading lots of books about this, but I
but
can
yeah,
answer that question right away for you.
yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was sort of a film what starts at the end where everybody's in police custody and being interviewed about Whitey Bulger,
Uh-huh.
and then the film sort of goes back what these people are saying in the interviews, and then the scenes are played out, sort of thing. Um, yeah, I enjoyed it. It was good story, as you've said. It's 99% of it's mostly true. Um, Valid in places, which I don't mind. And the question is, was it filmed in Boston, Susan?
Yeah,
Oh, that's all right then, because sometimes they don't film it in the place where it's supposed to be set, don't they? You know, it's
yeah. But this was definitely filmed right here.
cool. Yeah, it was a good movie to watch. I say I've never heard of it before. Never heard of these people before. Never heard of what they'd got up to before. So it was something new to watch.
Yeah.
Mm. So I'll pass it back to you now.
All right. So because this city that I live in, Chelsea, is was corrupt at the same time as this as these um folks were who were coddling Whitey Bulger for 20 years or whatever, trying to sell the fact that he was an informant when actually it was just, like this movie says, it was really John Connolly's idolizing him that caused the whole FBI to be dragged down, so that they had to reestablish a Boston headquarter FBI headquarters in Chelsea in a great big new building. About 1995 or six, they built the building, and that's when this city was super corrupt. But the FBI itself had been corrupted all the way up until into the 90s. And they show the old FBI headquarters at in the JFK uh building, which was that brutal architecture with those great big slabs of concrete. It's just that's what a lot of the government buildings in the city look like. Most of the cities around it have older architecture and stuff like that, but the that brutal architecture was really the style. And when they changed what was called the military zone or whatever, uh I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, it was Scollay neighborhood in downtown Boston that they tore down all those old rickety sort of slummy clubs and you know numbers rackets and all these things, like all these hundreds of brothels that were down there in this section of town. And they tore that down and they built these huge brutal architecture buildings, and so it's just like changed the whole dynamic of the place. And so the numbers rackets that were still going on in Southie and in Dorchester and Roxbury were controlled by what was called the Winter Hill Gang. And the Winter Hill Gang were Winter Hill is sort of like a border between Boston and Somerville, and it's just some like little neighborhood, but that's where the gang started when it was all Irish, and then when this happened, it was all sort of moved to the south. Um, that gangland attitudes people had, um, really, I mean, it really did happen. And the animosity between the Irish Winter Hill Gang and the Italian Cosa Nostra (LCN) Mafia family, the that divergent and wasn't ever going to come back together. And so that's where Whitey found himself. And Billy Bulger being his super powerful, super straight laced older
Mm.
brother, younger brother, sorry, younger brother. Whitey was older than him. Really kind of well, Benedict Cumberbatch tried very, very seriously to develop the same kind of accent that Johnny Depp was trying to affect, but there's just enough difference, and they sounded enough different from the accent, the normal accent around here, that you just kind of knew that they weren't from around here. Anyway, but it was good. It's a good movie. Um, I love how they had Juno Temple in it. I mean, what she's now super famous for Ted Lasso, and yeah, it was great to see her. Great to see her in it, and Dakota Johnson as Lindsay Sear, and you just knew that the whole thing with her child, her son, Whitey's son, was setting something up. And yeah, discount Matt Damon is in this, Jesse Plemons uh playing Kevin Weeks. And Kevin Weeks was one of the strong arms of the Winter Hill Gang. And he basically would, he'd kill whoever Whitey wouldn't. And Whitey used there's another sort of trope about people dying in Massachusetts and Boston, that they're all strangled. There's even a whole other story, true story, about somebody who was a mass murderer here called the Boston Strangler. So I mean, like, this is more than just a reference, because that Whitey took that strangling thing from the Boston Strangler, and that became his thing. He took a lot of things that used to belong to other people and made him his thing, you see? Like the whole running of the underworld here. Like his uh adoption of all the kind of violent behavior that everybody else saw as part of Boston. See? And I don't know where they got into this highlight stuff, but that was all real and that was all weird. I don't know about that sport, but looked kind of interesting. Anyway, that's my opening thoughts, and yeah. So, what are some of the your favorite moments, or things that stood out, or things that you really didn't like, or had problems with?
Well, when I was watching it, as I think I've already mentioned that I kept getting distracted by the bright blue eyes
Mhm.
of Johnny Depp.
Mm,
Um, I kept thinking in my head was going, he hasn't got blue eyes.
mm,
That was kept going around in my head. Um, but it's cool playing that character, isn't it? I did not. This has got nothing to do with the movie, but you've mentioned um, the accent, what Johnny Depp was doing, and the way he was talking, and then sort of also laughing as well, because he laughed a few times, and he could make a brilliant Joker
mm-hmm. Yeah.
using that accent and that laugh he had in this movie. I thought, wow, without even looking at the screen, you just the sound, you think that could be a Joker.
Mm, yeah.
Come on, DC, come on, Warner Brothers, and I think he would be a very good Joker. Um,
Oh yeah.
but back to the movie. Um, yeah, I like the way he. I mean, this is mostly true as well with the Bulger burial ground
Oh
between the
God, I
two
know.
between the bridges. Yeah, it became known as the Bulger burial ground.
Uh-huh.
And then when his mother died, he started burying him in the cellar.
Uh-huh.
Uh, you know, was it pull his teeth out and bury him next to the hole.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So it was a. But then the way I mean, he never asked for help from his brother, did he?
Oh.
It was the FBI what wanted help from the senator.
Uh-huh. No.
Um, I know the senator had to resign in the end because he'd been in touch with his fugitive brother.
Uh-huh.
Um, but it's amazing that you've got a senator and you've got a criminal.
Yeah.
You couldn't write it, could you?
Uh-uh.
But yeah, I like that. I like that combination.
So interesting.
And
So,
then the FBI, was it
John Connolly
John Connolly? Um, he just got
and
further and further into it, and there was no way he was getting out.
yeah, John Morris, his fellow agent. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, those two got sucked in.
They were being used. Whitey was using them.
Uh-huh.
Um, I mean, he did that scene. Uh, there was Whitey, Connolly, was it Morris,
Uh-huh.
and the other guy of Whitey's gang sat at the table eating a steak dinner.
Uh-huh.
And he asked him about this is a lovely steak. I've never had steak like that before. And he wouldn't give him the family recipe, family secret. But then when he did give him it, he changed, just
Yeah.
totally changed, and says, "You just give me your family secret." Well, I thought, wow, this is what other secrets can you just give away? It really,
Refreshing.
really that you could creep you out there, and that's why I said he could make a great Joker. Um, yeah, that scene there, and then when he went upstairs to Colin's wife because
Oh my
she didn't want
God.
anything to do with him.
Oh, that was so creepy.
It was, yeah.
Oh,
That's because I don't care what anybody says. Johnny Depp is a wonderful actor,
oh God.
and I like the way he doesn't do mainstream. He always chooses carefully these movies what are a bit out there, bit left field, bit oddball, and he
Exactly.
grabs them and makes it his own.
Yeah.
And this is why you never sort of see him in mainstream movies. And good on him because he's made some marvelous movies. Um, and he's sort of an adopted British actor over here
Uh-huh.
because I know he lived over here for a few years. He lived in Paris for a few years. He's become more of a European than an American these days.
Yeah.
But
As
he's
far
one of the
away from
best.
the that Amber Heard as he can possibly get until that trial.
Yeah, which he won second time round. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And that I
yeah,
think
he's,
go ahead. Go
no,
ahead.
no, go on.
No, no.
Oh,
I think that that sort of set him up for a fall, but here's Johnny being resilient, and that's just neat. Anyway, go on.
yeah. In my book, you can't fault Johnny Depp. He puts his he puts his all 100% into anything he does.
Yeah, agree.
Um, so yeah, this was as I said, I've never seen this one before, and I thought, wow, yeah, it, a great, great part for him to play. You know, I mean, he's done movies like this before. What's the one back in the 90s? Gang, Donnie Brasco.
Yeah,
Did
that's about
then
that's about
so he's done sort of
that's
gang.
an LCN movie. That's another one that's kind of true.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
he's a
he
great
knows
documentarian
yeah,
of violent criminal actor of criminal action in this world. It's very good.
yeah. I mean, that scene where he strangles the stepdaughter of the guy who stood next to him
Yeah,
in his mother's house. That and the guy just stood there and let him do it.
yeah.
It's
Steve
unbelievable.
Flemmi killed a few.
Yeah.
I mean, he killed like 15 or 20 people also.
Yeah.
And so I mean like the Winter Hill gang all told must have had like a couple hundred people killed by like it's a little sort of side hustle people, and then the people who are like Kevin Weeks and Steve Flemmi were. I mean, Steve Flemmi was kind of a turncoat also because I mean he's got the Italian name.
Hmm.
He's got an Irish mom, but he's got the Italian name, and I mean that was making that's one of the things that was Whitey's reason for fighting the mafia was so the Italian mafia was so that he would be so that Stephen would stay with him. And
I,
I just go ahead.
no, go on, go on.
Yeah, there was a lot of those like playing each other against each other kind of things that were happening. And I also liked like Adam Scott. He's in that's Succession. No, not Succession. What's it called?
From Scott.
It's the show is called Severance.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And Severance is really weird. And that's the cool thing about Adam Scott is that he's able to play really weird, like really normal, like play it deadpan, and that's pretty fun. That's what sells Severance, and that's what sells this because he was one of the Fitzpatrick was one of the ones that was right sort of in the middle of all this stuff, and then there was like Weishak played by Corey Stoll, who tried to right the ship of the FBI. And I mean because he did so much their new headquarters and everything, that but the way that he was able to indict his coworkers. I mean, Weishak was pretty brave.
Mm.
I mean,
I tell you what I did like about this was at the end of the movie, you got all the before the credits came up,
uh-huh.
all the information about the real people and what happened to them. I mean, some of the movies do this, but this was interesting because you just watched everything going on. I mean, I don't know why did Connolly get 40 years?
Because he was so corrupt. He
With
faked
just
all of that information from Bulger. The only thing Bulger ever gave him were the pictures of 98 Prince Street or 95 Prince Street in North End.
but what I
That
would
was
say,
it.
he got 40 years, but some of the gang members only got 10.
I know because they
Mhm.
pleaded, and I think that Connolly pled not guilty, and so they went to trial, and he was hit with the full the full force of all that he'd done.
No.
And the fact that he did that, I mean, it really made Bulger able to stay on the he lived in on the West Coast for 16 years. I mean, for 16 years he was like he was living the life of a retiree and very down to earth and very humble, and like he didn't like eventually he and Catherine didn't want to go out much because this woman from uh someplace in Europe saw him as his saw his girlfriend Catherine Greek, his erstwhile wife in Catherine Greek in a getting her hair cut, and was just like that was that person. And they did that FBI's Most Wanted show. Anyway, it was pretty cool. And then I mean, the other people that were savaged by this group was that Callahan guy, and and the the other guy from the Highlight thing, uh Brian Halloran, played by Peter Skarsgård. You know, those Skarsgårds are amazing in my humble opinion. They're all Oscar
He's
win.
not, he's not related.
He's
He's not.
not.
He's not a Skarsgård. He's a Sarsgaard.
Oh, oh, okay. So never mind.
Oh yeah.
But like anyway, yeah. Okay. Maybe he's not even, you know. Anyway, and Kevin Bacon. I mean, it's fun that he's in this movie. But there weren't any real Boston people in the cast. So I thought that was like a brave choice
But
by the
have you got any? Is there any good actors from Boston? Though?
Oh yeah. I mean there's that guy who played the prisoner in Mandalorian, Bill Burr. That was he's a Bostonian, and like you know anyway, we'll have to do another podcast about you know how this how these regional people should do regional things. I'd like to know about people in Hull, but anyway, this Johnny Depp is amazing at anything. I've loved him since he was in Edward Scissorhands, and so that's pretty much his whole dang career. And and I didn't see him too much in the character of Whitey. I mean, he really was able to hide.
I've just, I've
And
just, I've just noticed, looked that Connolly was released from prison in 2021
nice.
due to ill health.
Oh, okay.
So he's out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just doing my research.
Yeah, good. Good research.
Carry on. Yeah.
Yeah, carry on. You got anything else that you want to talk about, like Black Mass about?
No, I just thought it was a good drama. Seeing as it was based on real events. Because sometimes you get these Hollywood movies based on true events, and half of it's a load of bollocks.
Yeah.
It's all just made up. What you say? What's based on true events? Well, the characters' names are real.
Yeah.
But as you said, you've done your homework, you've done your reading on this.
I I was a little obsessed with Whitey Bulger once I sort of discovered him. I didn't know anything about any of the Bostonian uh mafias, either the Irish or the Italian. But now I see that this very well could be sort of like a linchpin place in that whole thing. And I know that the supply of weapons to the Irish army, the
Oh yeah.
IRA, that was uh that was talked about in another movie, and I think it's called, I don't remember what it was called, but yeah, that's another whole movie talking about the provision of weapons to Ireland and Northern Ireland.
Mm.
And so, I mean, it's just really interesting. And I just I really liked the way that this was shot. It was shot very and like all the very sort of most normal places in this city are featured in this. It's not the elegant. I mean, except for the Senator Bulger's office, which was, that may or may not be in the Capitol, because that's a big office, and I don't know if their offices are nearly that big,
Mm.
but it's yeah, there was a lot of reality to it, and a lot of gritty reality to it. I mean, Boston at that point wasn't beautiful. It wasn't so sparkling as it is now. I mean, they've done a lot of cool things. Uh, there are these issues about looking at Boston that once they cleaned up someplace, you won't find them. Like, you won't find where the molasses flood happened. You won't find the neighborhood that Leonard Nimoy was raised in. That's been leveled and traded and changed into sort of office buildings and things like that. And then you won't find the triple O anymore. I mean, there's just some things that have happened that have changed it uh since then. It's just interesting.
Mm.
Um, but Boston is an old city. Our Chelsea is older by about 6 years. The city of Chelsea, right here, was founded in 1624, and we're celebrating 400 years this year.
Right.
And the city of Boston is 6 years older, so their 400-year anniversary will be in 2030. Anyway, that's all the Boston stuff that you need to know to enjoy Black Mass. Uh, do do you want to give your final say and score, or do you have more to say?
No, I think I've covered every bit of the
Okay.
ground I wanted to say. Um, I enjoyed it. It's a first for me, this movie. It's mostly not everybody's cup of tea. Um, I liked it. It, it was slow in certain places, but that didn't really take away the enjoyment. Because it was building up to something else. So for me, I'm going to give this 9 uh, games of gin rummy out of 10. If you've
Love.
seen the movie, you've seen the movie, you know what I'm on about.
Yeah. I love that bit with his mom, like, "You're always cheating me, mom." That's great. And I'll give this 10 10 bodies in the trunk out of 10. I really have enjoyed like reading about this, learning about this, digging into this, and watching this movie was a good culmination of all that. I really liked it. There are plenty of documentaries, but when you get Johnny Depp playing Whitey, that's about perfect because I mean he's really good with Whitey and he's really good at Hunter S. Thompson. The man like those are two very different people, but two very sort of bonkers people. And Johnny Depp is well able to cover both of those. Anyway,
Great.
so thanks for watching. Do join us if you would. Um, just talk to Lee. All you gotta do is be 18, because if we're talking about a lot of like mafia and really violent crime stuff, we don't want you to be a kid and subjected to that
True.
shit unless you're living on the streets of Boston right now. And if you are, I'm sorry, but y'all try to get yourself over Father Bill's or to, you know, the Mass and Cass gets pushed away and you just need a place to stay. You go find yourself at the Rosie's place or at yeah, Mainspring. Anyway, just do it. Boston Rescue Mission also. Get off the streets, guys. And also, if you want to and we'd like you to have a camera device and a microphone, and we'd like you to be able to use Zoom and show up at like 9 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, because that's when we shoot this fabulous piece of internet fare, and we are glad that you are here. We'd like you to subscribe to our channel. When you get done with that, you can hit the bell notification. And yeah, and see, you must have a camera that works.
Yeah.
And let's see, also the other thing that would be important to know is that um I think that actually I covered. Oh, you should share this widely. Share this with your friends and your neighbors, and join us on social media. That's it. Join us on social media. Lee's
We're
got
all
a good Insta. We got a Facebook group. We got the X, Twitter feed, and the interesting things that we're up to every week. And um, yeah.
that's it, I think.
Be wicked smart and do your thing. And Minga, I just want you to know that it's good to be here in Boston, and we're all, you know, tripping up to Boston. Yeah. Anyway, that's it.